Continuing on the practice test, we're going to graph number 7. Again, we have the A, B, and C value because this is in standard form. The C value is your y-intercept. So this is the graph definitely crosses the y-axis at 2. The A value is 2. So I do know that this parabola is going up. And it's going to be twice the height as a normal parabola. So I start by doing x is equal to negative b over 2a. It gives me 8. Since 8 is already negative, we use the opposite of 8 over 2 times 2. So that's 8 over 4, which is 2. So that's the x value of my vertex, which will also be my axis of symmetry. In this point, in this problem so far, everything is 2, but these are always going to be the same. Okay, so the x is 2, the axis of symmetry. As soon as you have your axis of symmetry and you have the y-intercept plotted, then you also have the point that's on the other side of that. The vertex has to be down here since I know that this parabola is going upward. So now I'm going to plug in 2 into this equation to find the y value. You could always count backwards if you know how to use the pattern. If a point is 2 units away from the axis of symmetry, then you square that 2, which gives you 4. And then you also have to multiply it by a, which gives you 8. So I'm 8 units below this 2. I definitely know that it's going to be at negative 6. I'll show you mathematically how to do that. So it's going to be 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 2. So I'm plugging in 2 for these x values because that's the answer I got for x. That's 2 times 4. You definitely have to square first before you multiply. Minus 16 plus 2. That's 8. That's minus 14, which gives you negative 6. So that is the vertex, or the y value of the vertex. Because a is 2, over 1, up 2, because you've got to go twice as high as you normally do. We already have 8. For 3, it would be 9 times 2, which is 18, which will put us up at 12. Don't have room for that. Again, don't cross this line because it doesn't cross this line until you get to 12. Same thing on this side. It doesn't cross this line until we get to 12, so you can't cross that line. Cannot. Extend your graph all the way to the top. Don't stop at those points. The domain, all real numbers. And then the range is every point above the negative 6. So y greater than or equal to negative 6 is the range. For the next ones, we have to graph based on the x-intercepts. So the x-intercepts are always the opposite of the two numbers inside of the parentheses. So that's p and q. So my x-intercepts are negative 3 and 1. Do not make this into an ordered pair. Don't put negative 3 comma 1. You can use a comma, just don't use parentheses. So negative 3 and positive 1 are the x-intercepts. The a value is 2. The x-intercept, or the axis of symmetry, is the number right between these two. So the number between both of those, you should be able to tell by looking or counting in, is negative 1. So x equals negative 1 is the axis of symmetry, and it's also the x value of the vertex. In order to find the y value of the vertex, I could take the original equation and plug in this number in for the x's. Okay, so I'm going to plug in negative 1 plus 3, negative 1 minus 1, which gives me 2 times negative 2, which is negative 8. So that's where that is. Again, you can always find it by counting back. If I went 1, 2, that's 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2, which is the a value, is 8. So it has to be 8 units below. I still need more points, as many as you can fit on here. That's the y-intercept, that negative 6. You can always find the y-intercept by making the x value 0. So if you wanted to find the y-intercept, you can make this, I'm going to erase this p and q, but basically 2 times 3 times -1, and that would be your y-intercept, because that would mean your x values would be zeros. That gives you -6, so I could have found the y-intercept that way as well. The next point over would be over 3, that's 9 squared, 3 squared is 9, and then 9 times 2 would be 18, so you would be up at 10, which we can't fit on this graph. So again, please don't cross this next line over, because it doesn't cross that until you get up to 10 at the top. For the next one, we have the a value is the number in front, so that a value is -1. This one's going to be upside down. We have p and q, which is the x-intercepts, which are the opposite of those numbers. So we're going to have a -1 and a 5. And again, don't put parentheses around here. This is not an ordered pair. So -1, +5. The number in between there, if you count over 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 2 is right in the middle. If you want to do the math for that, the axis of symmetry, which is x equals 2, is the average of these numbers. So if I do the average, I do -1 plus 5 divided by 2, which is 4 over 2, which is 2. Average of two numbers, add them, and divide by 2. So that's the x value of the vertex as well. I'm going to plug that into this equation. So y equals -2 plus 1, 2 minus 5. So again, I'm plugging in this 2 for the x values in the original equation. If I work that out, that's 3, that's -3. So this is equal to +9. That's in the wrong place. It has to be on the axis of symmetry. That's at 9. This is a regular parabola that's upside down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 9. The next one over would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 16, which would be like right here. One down. Again, it doesn't really quite fit. Almost does. And that's graphing using the x-intercept. The y-intercept here is 5. And again, we could have found that by just multiplying out the top part and making the x value 0. So if you multiplied -1 times 1 times -5, that would be your y-intercept. Let's see, the next problem. For the next problem, number 10, to find the maximum or the minimum value, you have to first tell whether it's going up or down. This problem is going up because the a value is positive, so I know that it has a minimum value. And the minimum value will be at y equals whatever the k value is of the vertex. So I need to find the vertex. So x is equal to -b over 2a, which is going to be 18 over 2 times 3. So 18 over 6, which is 3. So the x value is 3. I need the y value. So the y value is going to be 3 times 3 squared minus 18 times 3 plus 20. And again, I'm using this equation here. And I'm plugging in 3 for that x and that x. So this gives me 3 times 9 minus 54 plus 20, which is going to be 27 minus 54 plus 20. So this gives me -27 plus 20, which is -7. So this is going to be -7. So this is going to be the bottom part of my parabola at y equals -7.